Welcome back to MTN Live in the Mountain. So here on the couch with us right now, we have Richard Hyatt and Alice Watkins with Alzheimer's North Carolina. I'm so happy you guys are here with us.
Thank you for having us.
Very glad to be here.
I know, because, you know, Richard, you and I met back in September.
That's right.
I know.
Almost 6 months ago. Can you believe it?
I know, and I'm so glad you guys are here, coming all the way from Raleigh, North Carolina to talk with us here today.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for having us. We're so glad to be here. You know, my name once again is Richard Hyatt. I'm the Communications and Development Director for Alzheimer's North Carolina. And my hometown is Mount Airy, so my accent sounds a little bit different, I know. But when I took this position in working for Alzheimer's North Carolina, there were two areas that, as I mentioned to Alice back in April of last year when I started, I really want to focus on two areas, my hometown of Mount Airy and Surrey County, and also Appalachian State. So I'm so glad to be here. You know, I graduated from Appalachian State back in 2000, even coached at Hardin Park back in the day, you know, coached girls volleyball and basketball for 2 years, and just have a lot of ties to the area. And, you know, without question, I want to make sure that I give recognition to some folks that have helped us be here today. And one, by all means, is Brian Belcher. You know, Brian's with the High Country Community Health organization. And Brian, when I reached out to him back in the summer of last year, I said, well, where are some places we can go into Boone to help ALZNC or Alzheimer's North Carolina come into the Boone and High Country area? And so he put me in touch with Brenda Reese, who's with the High Country Caregiver Foundation, and we've been talking to Brenda, and things have kind of taken off and going in the right direction. So here we are, and glad to be here once again because, you know, coming from Raleigh and helping our organization come into the western half of North Carolina, we're in the right direction, no doubt about that. And so thank y'all again, glad to be here, and looking forward to giving out some good information to folks.
I
appreciate it.
So why did you want to get started or get involved with Alzheimer's? Well,
my personal connection is my grandmother. My grandmother was diagnosed with Alzheimer's back in 2009. And to see the impact that it's made on her, somebody who was so independent and lively and active and did things the way she wanted to, and now she's totally dependent on my mother. I'm not going to give my mom's age, but I'll say my mother's in her early 70s, along with my mom's younger sisters, all in their 60s. And to see the four sisters work together and take care of my grandmother, it's made a tremendous impact on the entire family. So it's not like I'm there directly as a caregiver, but to speak with my mom, if not every day, every other day or so, and to hear how my grandmother's having, some days will be a good day, some days are a bad day. You know, we're motivated as me with what I do for Alzheimer's North Carolina and as a family, you know, what we're going through. So that's my personal connection. So for us, we really want to get awareness out about the disease, Alzheimer's the disease, and also Alzheimer's North Carolina, and that we're here to support North Carolina families. And I think it's important for us to do that as we come into the western half of the state. So, yes.
You already talked a little bit about support. How and in what ways does Alzheimer's North Carolina actually support others?
Alice?
Well, first of all, it's through education. It's taking family workshops into the communities, or we do all-day conferences. And so the education part of it is the first part. Then it's developing support groups, getting families to get into support groups, because it's in the support groups where they learn how to cope. And they also learn where the best service is, but it really is being in a safe place where they can talk, because caregiving is really a struggle, and because of Alzheimer's and Alzheimer's going on for so long, it's the support groups where they can talk to someone who understands, and they don't have to worry about it, because we have this thing, what is said here stays here. And so they don't have to worry about whatever feelings they have and emotions they're feeling, because the Alzheimer's will cause you to have a very long range of emotional reactions, and it's okay. It's okay. It's not okay to stay in those reactionary modes, but it is okay to have them. And but it's the education part of it, and then the support group, and then the advocacy. Our voices, the people with Alzheimer's disease can no longer speak for themselves, so it's dependent upon us to tell other people what their needs are. And the fourth part of that is research, is finding a reason why this disease is happening, a cause, a prevention, or a treatment. And with any kind of luck, we're on the right track. And I think we're getting closer to finding those answers.
And I mean, you guys have been doing so many events, you know, to help raise money and raise awareness for Alzheimer's. Tell me about some of the things that you guys have done in the past.
Well, I can tell you this much, some things that are coming up. You know, we have roughly 30 major fundraiser events across North Carolina. And so we are super excited about that. And some things I just make sure I don't forget here is on Friday, April the 19th, we're going to have our first training, if you will, support group training here in Watauga County in Boone. That's going to be on April the 19th. And some folks that might want to call and get signed up for that class can reach out to Brenda Reese, and Brenda can be reached at 828-265-5435, extension 128, and go ahead and sign up for that class. But we have 30 major fundraiser events, and that's how we raise monies for our organization, and that's how we also raise awareness about Alzheimer's disease and dementia. So
That's great. The one coming up in April, where's that going to be held at?
that's going to be at the High Country Council of Governments,
Okay.
located at 468 New Market Boulevard, Boone, NC 28607.
And the best way someone can do it, like you said, is contacting Brenda?
Yes, sir, that's
Okay.
correct.
Okay.
Yeah, reach out to Brenda, absolutely.
So what other events you guys, what is ahead for y'all coming up in this brand new year?
Well, I wanted to share a little bit about why we're here, and we haven't been here before because we were known for actually all Alzheimer's programs in North Carolina were started by former Governor Bob Scott. And at Duke University. And then from that, programs began in Asheville, Charlotte, Raleigh, Winston-Salem. And 3 years ago, we decided that we needed to keep the funds in North Carolina. So we became Alzheimer's North Carolina. Now we're Alzheimer's North Carolina, and we can go anywhere. And so we're now getting requests to come into the western part of the state to do what we have been doing in the eastern part for a long time. But our real concentration as far as our organization, our big focus is on the families who are suffering with this, and finding resources for them and teaching them how to take care of a person. Because if you don't know how to approach a person with this disease, and you don't know how to communicate, you're not going to get them to do very many other things. And that is two areas that we really, really concentrate on, is teaching people the right way, and because they pick up on body language far more than anything that we're going to say to them. And those are some of the things that we learn and teach in the education conferences.
That's great. Talk about you talked about the work groups as well, getting people in there to be able to talk to each other and share their own experiences and kind of work through some of the some of the difficulties that obviously come. Are those statewide as well, or do you?
Yes.
And how many do you have in your? I mean, I know you guys traveled up here from Raleigh. In your Raleigh group, how many generally come to those?
The support groups, the numbers will vacillate.
Okay.
It really is on the family person's needs a lot of times. Other times they become an outlet for them to get together to talk with other people. So there can be a good group is probably the 12 to 15, but sometimes they grow larger than that. And so it becomes more, well, I shouldn't say more. There is a social aspect of it too, because the person sitting in that room across the table from you knows what this is all about. You don't have to explain it. And if you've ever gone through traumatic times, you know that you need someone to really understand where you are and what's going on in your life without having to go through these deep explanations. Because they can't, unless they've been there, they can't really know. And that old statement of until you walk in someone's shoes, you really don't have the full impact. And that is true with Alzheimer's.
Oh, great. So Richard, tell us a little bit about how you've been trying to bring events for Alzheimer's North Carolina here up in the high country.
Sure. Well, as you can tell, I'm kind of high energy. That's my personality. That's what I do. Somebody has to raise the monies to raise awareness.
I agree with that.
But you know, my background as a fundraiser and event planning is probably close to over 7 years now total, working for another large nonprofit. And as I mentioned, what's happened to my family and to see what happened to my grandmother really motivates me, because I realize that, as Alice mentioned, I'm her voice now. I'm the voice for my family and educating other families. So what I do is I make phone calls all day long, and I email folks all day and get text messages all day. But that's what I do. So, you know, right now we really are focusing on our events that we have coming up this spring. I mean, just to mention a couple of things, we have, if we have any runners out there who like to run, we have the The Carteret County Crystal Coast Color Rush, where they do like a color run, is going to be April the 27th down in Carteret County. We also have something I'm excited about is our Triangle 5K run called Run to Remember, our first annual Triangle 5K that's coming up on Sunday, April the 28th. And then we have an event in the Outer Banks. It's actually going to be a May 3rd and May 4th event. It's going to be a 2-day affair. We can come in and see the Rondelles Friday night at the Outer Banks, do a barbecue plate fundraiser that Friday night, do the walk on Saturday. Then we actually have another event coming up on May the 18th in Craven County. Then on Sunday, May 19th, we actually have 2 events. We have an event in Fayetteville, and then we have an event in my hometown of Mount Airy, Surrey County.
Yeah.
And we're going to, and then I know I'm missing one there along the way. We're going to have a golf tournament in Moore County in June, and that's just for our spring events. As you can tell, I'm on the go.
You are.
It's
Mount
crazy.
Airy to the Outer Banks is pretty crazy. You're covering the whole state.
It's amazing. I stay on the go nonstop, but I enjoy it. I really do.
But when you really stop and think about it, it's from Appalachian to the coast.
Right, yeah.
And because of the work that we're doing here.
Yes.
And so there will be a walk here. And
We have been working on that. I think
Yes.
for us to have a catalyst with our event, our training coming up on April the 19th, our support group training, that's going to lead us into hopefully a walk in Boone by September of this year. And we're super excited about that. And if folks have any questions or want to talk about how to make that event even better, they can certainly call us. You know, our website is just www.alznc.org. All of our information's on there, and reach out to us as we try and build this event in the Boone area. But we're excited about that as well because, as I mentioned, being an Appalachian State guy, I'm glad to be coming home, if you will.
Right.
Something else I think is important to mention because you have so many Appalachian State graduates across the state is that we have our large Triangle Walk. That by far is our biggest event in North Carolina. We have that the first Saturday in October in Cary, North Carolina at the Coca-Booth Amphitheater. And that brings in about 2,500 total attendees, and that by far is our biggest event. And so, you know, we're on the go, but we're in the right direction. I mean, my background, everything I know about fundraising and marketing, you have to have events that are fun for the families, entertaining, because you realize you're raising money for a serious disease and for a great charity to help North Carolina families. And the one thing I think is important for me to say, because I am in communications and development and high energy, is that 100% of all contributions remain in North Carolina to support North Carolina families, support groups, workshops, caregiver conferences. I mean, I think that's, you know, says a whole lot right there.
Right.
So.
And I think one of the things that's really important that kind of segues into what Richard has just said is we have a new logo that was designed for us by a person. She was a top graphic designer out of Minneapolis, Minnesota, who came back to North Carolina to take care of her mother. And it's we'll probably get some other things. But to remember that if you don't see this logo, it's here for you today and tomorrow. All funds stay in North Carolina. We're focusing on this. This is a key. Right here for you today and tomorrow. If you don't see the little people with the sun in the background, all the funds are not staying in North Carolina. And we were known as the Eastern North Carolina chapter of the Alzheimer's Association for many years until we disaffiliated. So this is what I want people to remember, that those hands and holding hands is what drives me every day, and that is being there to help the families.
That's great.
Do you guys have any ideas for maybe in the years to come what you guys might be doing?
Oh, absolutely. Richard was telling me today about his friend, and I said, this is what it's all about.
Yeah.
You know, it's finding out who is doing things in the communities and getting people excited to really pull all of those people together, because by working together we can make things happen, and we can provide better services, and we can make our dollars go further. And so I'm excited that Brian is going to be following us, because all of this is kind of linking, and that's what excites me, is the collaborative spirit and working together.
That's great.
Well, as I was talked about, you know, we have, even last night we came in from the Raleigh area, got into Boone, had a nice dinner. We stayed over to La Quinta. My good friend Ron Coldiron is the general manager over there. So, you know, he helped us out last night. We had breakfast with Ron this morning and just talking about other ways that he can help us collaborate and make, you know, Alzheimer's North Carolina even stand out more and have a greater presence in the area. So.
And to spend the night in a hotel and get up the next morning and meet the general manager, who gets all excited about why you're here and what you're doing, and thank you for the special room. But he has always been very gracious when we've come here. So you have a good group of people here, and it's exciting to come and be a part of it.
That's why I love Boone. I feel like everyone here in Boone is so nice and so generous and always has a smile on their face when you meet and greet them. So I have a question. So if someone maybe wants to get involved with y'all, what can they do? Or maybe want to help out, or maybe help promote?
Make a donation as well.
Oh, absolutely. That 800 number, the 1-800-228-8738 is a direct link to us. They can go on the website. They can contact Richard. They can contact me. But that's what it's going to take here to provide the programs and services that are needed. It's all of us. It's sponsors of our events. It's people coming out to the walks or the other things that are going on. Or people can hold things in their homes, you know, that can just to generate awareness. Those are the kinds of things that any of us can do. We don't have to have a giant event. It's just, but in local communities, sometimes just opening the home and having a group of people in and having us come in and talk or share experiences is another good key.
That's great.
So if someone maybe wants in Boone, because you're talking about you might be having a walk here in September, right?
That's right.
Rock and Run. Can people here in Boone maybe start and get going with that if someone who's watching is interested?
Absolutely. Right now what I would say is this. I'm going to give my cell out.
Okay.
You know, it means a lot to me because I can't always be in Raleigh, as we know. I've been in Boone the past couple of days, right? My cell was 919-210-3470. That's my personal cell. You can call, ask for me directly, and speak with me about it, because as we establish, you know, Alzheimer's North Carolina in the high country area, I want folks to know they can go to the website, go to the 1-800 number, or they can call me, and we can certainly put them in touch with the right folks. But yeah, please call me. That'd be great.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's wonderful. So is there anything else you guys would like to talk about? I know there's so many things always going on.
Oh, it is. But, you know, the bottom line to what we're here and what we're trying to do, it isn't about us. It isn't about an organization. It is about people who need help and who are in pain. And it is relieving that pain. And that's why we're doing what we're doing.
I was going to ask you, why did you decide to get involved with this?
Well, it's been really interesting because it was to create awareness, and I came in on the board of directors, and I said I can give you a maximum of 2 years, and here I am. That was 1989, and then they asked me to come in on to take this position, and again I said 2 years. But it just, and I just remember going home one night and saying, okay, God, if this is why you want me to, you know, why things keep happening that cause me to keep staying here, then you're going to have to help. And he has been there with us throughout this whole thing. And I think it's just building a solid foundation of creating programs and services and loving people and caring about them. I always tell people that we don't always have all the money, but we give good hugs. And sometimes a hug can go a long, long way to making a person's day a whole lot better. And sometimes we will have people who just stop by the office and say, "We just stopped by for a hug," and then we know that we're doing what we're supposed to be doing.
That's great. Well, guys, thanks for coming in and speaking with us today.
Thank you so much.
And
we really appreciate you guys.
Yeah, and I'm hoping that we're going to bring Alzheimer's North Carolina even more up in here in Boone and in the high country here in the next year.
You have been so gracious, and thank you for having us.
Oh, thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate it. Thank you. We'll be back in a minute with more MTN Channel 18.